People who have friends with benefits. How did you go from friends to friends who have 6? Started as friends. Ended up becoming roommates. Both of us had been out of relationships for a while, so sexual tension got high with us living together. Slept together a few times and then she got a boyfriend, so we ended things. We're still great friends. Didn't ruin anything between us. It was just casual sex between consenting adults. We were at her place talking about Halloween. A very paraphrased version of the conversation. Her. It's just an excuse for people to dress slutty and have sex. Me. Sex is good. And then we had sex. Clicking on this thread was the wrong choice for my self-esteem, lol. I had been friends with D for years. I was dating her best friend K during that time. After K and I broke up, I stayed friends with D. We hung out a lot and one night she said I should still be just friends. But friends who have sex sometimes. It was great and lasted for years off and on. We are still friends. But she's married now. Grew boobs. Suddenly got a lot of good friends who wanted to hold me tight. It generally works the other way around. Generally there is a fling but no personal connection. So you just stay with it when convenient. It rarely starts from pure friendship. Sexual tension doesn't just come out of nowhere. We were watching a movie together and there was some reference to titty-licking. He said he'd never tried that before because all the girls he'd dated before have had smaller boobs. My boobs are very conducive to such activities. I jokingly asked if he wanted to try with me. He jokingly said yes. So we tried. We weren't really close. More like we had a mutual friend and added each other as a result. I'd known for years he'd wanted to duck me. He was very upfront about it, but respected my boundaries, but I didn't do anything about it. Few years later, I'm out of a relationship but I miss sex. He's randomly in town. I send him a message. We meet up the next day, and the D is ducking amazing. Ducked off and on for a couple of years. Only regret is not getting that D sooner. Seriously, he ducks so well it's like he went to school for it. I told him he smelled sexy, a mix of aftershave, whiskey, and cigarettes, and then he kissed me. Then we had sex and have been having it on and off ever since. No romantic interest in him whatsoever. Currently still have a FWB of 3-ish years. Brad was the brother of my best friend Kate through high school and college, so we knew each other very well. I had just gotten out of a very bad relationship and was still in the I'm going to cry and eat ice cream phase when Kate invited me to a house party. I ended up hooking up with Brad after the party. It was awkward for a little while after, but then we started hanging out again and realized we could be friends who just happened to mess around if we were both single. It's been a fun arrangement. Oh, let me quote the email I got out of the blue one day. If it wasn't apparent, I'm very attracted to you. And I think we could have really hot sex. I don't know if you're interested in adding the benefits package to the standard issue friends arrangement. But if so, we should talk about it. We talked about it. Then we started having sex. D. She played D&D with me. One day I showed her my apartment and she showed me her boobs. Kinda just went from there. Been there twice. Both times. We got drunk one night and it just happened. We decided to keep having sex but not get serious. I was random friends with C. We had met through a mutual connection. One night after we had been texting for weeks and being friendly, I jokingly told her I could show her how to make carbonara. I brought 2 bottles of wine. We cooked together, watched some stand-up comedy and then ended up having sex. We were on and off since then and it was great. We both date other people and occasionally hook up. Step 1. Be hot. This concludes how to get friends with benefits. This thread is ducking depression. I don't have a girlfriend, let alone any friends. How the hell am I gonna have sex literally ever? We literally hooked up at a party, had sex within an hour of meeting each other, and that's how we became friends. I'd been friends with him through high school and sometimes he'll send a booty pic or something to him. But one day we were talking about random past hookups and I was like, dude, why haven't we ever hooked up? Then we smashed. We still do. I invited him to my room to play with the samurai swords he'd given me, then pretty much just asked if he wanted to stay the night. He told me later that he'd just expected to make out. Instead it turned full-blown Caligula. We had crazy animal 6 for almost a year. It ended because neither of us knew how to just keep it at 6 friends, dates, presents, spending the holidays together, etc. But he also didn't want to be in a relationship. So that was fun. I had a female friend from high school that was really close, and I started dating another chick later on. A few years later, my lady started hitting on my friend, so I knew where it was headed. It turned into a threesome one night, which was fun and all, but I left an impression that after me and the lady split up, my friend sent me a text offering condolences and asked if I wanted company, so I go her place to try and drown my sorrows while we get tipsy, and she started coming onto me. It got crazy. We wake up the next morning, and things go as normal. Never had a detrimental effect on our friendship, and if anything, it helped her trust people again, so win-win. The D went in the butt, multiple times. I always thought she was objectively attractive, but I didn't really try for anything as it was my first year of college and I just wanted to meet people. At the end of the year I got hammered from a night out. We ended up alone and I said straight to her face I want to duck you. The day after we laughed it off, but it must have festered with her over the summer. By fall we were FWB. This might be a dead thread, but I'm 3 glasses of wine in and alone so I'm gonna type this out. D was the roommate of my best friend. I'm a female. Best friend is male. I was always at their house obviously. Drinking, partying, etc. One day I'm at said house and D is walking around shirtless and cooking. He had a literal 8-pack. Defined. Long hair. Looked like a hot ass Tarzan. I thought to myself, no, hands off. Flash forward to a house party myself and best friend attended. I'm sitting on the counter in the kitchen, drunk AF, and he just kinda plants himself between my legs and starts making out with me. Hooked up after the party and about 100 times afterward. We work together now, both have relationships, and remain good friends. Sometimes there's unmistakable sexual tension but we both know it's not a thing anymore. TLDR. Best friend's roomie made a move and I went with it. Continued to duck hot Tarzan. Just ask. I have had sex with more of my friends than not. Individually. Threesomes. Foursomes with mates' wives and my partner. It's more people are afraid to ask or think it's wrong. Honestly, people just like to duck. You'd be surprised what can happen if you just ask. We were friends for about 5 years at the time and she was somewhat freshly out of a relationship of 6 years. We were just hanging out and talking about random stuff and she brought up thinking about using her time being single for the first time in her adult life. She was 25, as a reason to experiment a bit. I gave her a sideways look for a bit and it went like this. Me. Wait. Do you mean her? Yes. Pick a lock. Use your words. Me. Oh. No. I just thought you were trying to say something. Her. What did you think I was saying? Me. Oh. I thought you might have been hitting on me for a second. I was. Me. Oh. Turns out she's had a crush on me for, well, 5 years, and cut me some slack. I'm 26 and while I've dated a couple of women, I've never actually had somebody outright tell me they had a crush on me before, or even hit on me. It was a game changer. We're back to just friends now, somewhat sadly, but much better friends. Honestly, we both got to experiment, and had a great time doing it. Inviting them to a sex party tends to send the right message. I guess there are 2 options, verbal and non-verbal communication, both with varying degrees of subtlety. Each person responds differently. You can gradually introduce the idea of you being attracted to them and see how they respond. In general, if they're attracted to you and feel safe, comfortable with you, like they can trust you, then it'll likely be pretty natural to go there. They need to know that 1. They can be safe around you intimately. Naked vulnerability is a thing. 2. You will honor and respect them socially, like if they want to keep it hush hush, or that you would represent them well etc. 3. That when either of you wants to stop, change the arrangement. That you'll be cool about it. This is huge. Anyhow, none of these things matter if there's no attraction. So watch for signs of discomfort, disinterest when you bring up the idea or start flirting. Good luck. I had a friend a couple years back. We were both in college and kept in touch despite being a state apart. We talked weekly. Well, over spring break while we were both home he mentioned he recently lost his virginity and was told he was bad at it. I jokingly said, well then we should practice make you better. After talking about it and said we would just be friends with benefits. We practiced all summer and come fall when he went back to school that was the end of it. We don't talk about it anymore, but I will say his girlfriend thinks he's great in bed and I'd like to think that was because of me. I went through this several times during my 20s. Every friendship I had that included benefits ended in disaster. Either they, or myself, eventually wanted more than friendship. 6 started off always by trivializing 6. You quickly learn that 6 is not trivial. Especially if you find yourself as the one who thinks they see potential in the relationship. That's when things get awkward, complicated, emotional, and sometimes scary. She's a friend of my knowing fiancé, who I always thought was cute. I helped her through a breakup recently and she decided I was a good rebound or whatever. TBH, it's more like she's a girlfriend, but we avoid the 8-letter 3-word phrase. Most of mine were exes. Started by dating. Broke up because we're better as friends. Kept ducking anyway. One happened because my wife and I brought her and her boyfriend to a swinger party. They kept showing up to the parties. They eventually broke up and the ex-boyfriend stopped coming to the parties, so now she's what they call a unicorn. Single woman going to swinger parties. Once in a while. We'll both get drunk and duck around. We've talked it over while sober. It's fully consensual. She's got a losing control fetish. My wife and I are swingers and she knows about this. It's as awesome as it sounds. I've had 4 on separate occasions. The first one was a girl I met during my first year of college. During one of first's hangouts parties everyone left at around 2 to 3 AM and only her and I stayed back shooting the it. Eventually we jumped into the lagoon, she lives near one, and started making out. Not too much other than that, and before I left she told me she wanted something casual. That lasted about 3-4 months and then she got a boyfriend. We lost touch after I dropped out. Second one was also from a college class where pretty much the same thing happened, just different setting. Lasted about a month, then she went back to her ex-boyfriend and I dropped out. Her and I still hang out from time to time but nothing has happened again. Third one was a girl I've known since high school. I'd be graduating this year just to give some perspective. And it started by drunkenly making out during some parties. It escalated when she invited me over for a party and cancelled on the rest of the gang so it'd be just her and I. You can guess what happened next. That one also lasted about a month and it had to stop because we were both getting feelings for each other, but she didn't wanna do an actual relationship plus is moving away to finish her degree. Fourth, and current, one is a girl I met at a club and hooked up after the club. She gave me her number and basically only text her or she text me to bang. It's fun. We just talked and at some point she was like, you know, I could kiss you, and we did. A lot. After a few weeks it got to a point where we were in the bed and it didn't take long until we were having sex. We dated for about 3 months but it fizzled out after he went on holiday and then I went on holiday as he returned. And we never picked it back up. Occasionally when we were drunk after that we would hook up and it was all okay. So sober I thought why not? And he was into it. We were FWB for like a year and a half until he got a girlfriend. Now they've split up and we're having sex again. We've never had any feelings confusion. So far, in the 2.5 years we've been friends, with on and off benefits. Get a boner. Don't hide it. Works every time. I liked a girl. We both knew I was moving relatively soon. And I made a move. We had some good times and we liked each other. But it wasn't fair to either of us to start something real knowing I wouldn't be around in a few months. But we had a fun few months. When I started college I became really good friends with a large group. One of the guys and myself got along instantly and spent a lot of time with the group and alone. At first we were strictly friends but slowly started ducking around. Eventually we moved in together, with 2 others from the group, as a big friend move in. Around this time we slowly stopped having sex as I realized he was crazy. The rest of the friends were no longer friends with him and they didn't know we'd been sleeping together for over a year at this point. I stopped having sex with him when his mother called me on the phone after he got food poisoning and they had made a plan on how I was going to shut McDonald's down for poisoning him. Almost 5 years ago, one of the guys in our group was killed in a traffic accident. We went to his funeral, and afterwards I dropped her off at her place. Neither of us really wanted to be alone, so I stayed her place. We drank a couple of wines, and then some more, and then some more, and next thing I know I wake up in her bed. We didn't really talk about what happened, but just left to go to work. A couple of days passed, and when we met again there was sexual tension everywhere. So at the end of the night when our group split, I told her I'd drive her home. In the car we talked about what happened the week before and the sexual tension that remained since. Instead of talking about why it happened, the conversation quickly turned to the sex itself, and as it turns out we both enjoyed it a lot. That's when we talked about being friends with benefits and decided to give it a go. It worked out great and we've been hooking up regularly ever since. My current relationship started it with being friends with benefits. Basically we were hanging out with a group of friends one day and I was just struck with the thought that we could have a lot more fun as FWB. So the next day I sent him a text saying, hey, I have a question. And basically was like, wanna be duck buddies? Of course he was down with it and we started hanging out more, and then suddenly it was like, well, we are already doing all this couple, it might as well become one. It's been a nice time so far. Needs friends first. I'm still working on that. It benefits without friendship, exes, and things that never quite happened. I was dropping off some extra kitchen appliances my roommates and I had, and he asked if I wanted to come back inside when he walked me out to my car. Sometimes we smash, sometimes we don't. Play wrestling. You don't want none of this. Maybe I do. Accidentally walked in on her changing during a play rehearsal and she jokingly said, meet me after rehearsal if you wanna see more, so I asked if she was serious and we ended up sleeping together in the costume closet, and we just keep sleeping together off and on for 5 years, never dated, and now we're both married to other people. I asked, contrary to popular belief, most girls like sex, and if you ask respectfully, you may get laid. I have a few female friends that I have had sex with at least once. It kinda just happens at parties or when you hang out and you're both single. Most of the time the mood is sparked by partnering up in beer pong or dancing with each other for a few songs. If you're already comfortable around them, it's easy to be confident. She said something obnoxious to me. I said, duck you. She said, duck you. I said, I'm serious. She said, so am I. She was. I did this for a while after college with a girl I met. We were both in professional school and had zero time to go on dates and truly socialize and have significant others. Both of our weeks consisted of school for the majority of the day, gym or sports after school, where we met, and then go home to study. The weekends you usually spent catching up on real life, it like groceries, apartment cleaning, or other errands, and more studying. We started studying together just to bounce ideas off each other, and we would alternate between each other's apartments. One day we're studying, start talking about something else and end up going at it. After that, we both talked about how a relationship would weigh us both down, but we wanted to keep having sex. So we would text each other, want to study at my place tonight, whenever we felt like getting it on. Lol. Lasted almost 2 years before school started easing up and we both got into serious relationships with other people. We just addressed the sexual tension we had, especially when we were finally single at the same time. Step 1. Do not get advice from Reddit. Well, it was very well established that we adored each other, but would never work out in a relationship. We had been ducking off and on for a few years before my husband and I decided to have an open relationship. We took the opportunity and ran with it. It's been great. Snapchat got steadily naughtier. Started talking about who we liked at work. Everyone told me it'd end in tears. It did. She got the feels, but I didn't want a relationship. She then slandered me to everyone at work cause I didn't reciprocate feelings I didn't find I cared particularly. She was a bit odd, but I hope she's happy. Sugar. 5 years of platonic friendship. Then bam. Sugar and blowjobs. It. Reddit is searching for tactics they can use to make FWBs. Was talking to a female friend and asked what thing she has always wanted to do. She said have sex with someone I'm not in a relationship with. But she added that it'd be difficult cause she got a boyfriend. Guys, did I miss out on something? Being a gay male, sexual openness is something that is deeply ingrained within the culture. My theory is that way back when the only way for gay men to acknowledge their sexuality was through anonymous sex in bathhouses etc. So it stayed a massive part of the culture, taking the concept of free love to another level. So if you go to just about any dating site meant for gay men, there's a strong tilt towards hookups. Or it's just a hookup site calling itself a dating site, like Manhunt. I have a small network of friends who I have sex with, and it started with me looking for hookups, like on Craigslist. For us there is no romantic requirement or pressure. Sex is something to do like going out to lunch, the beach or a movie. I was jokingly being aggressive towards her and got close to her face. She said, "If you get any closer I might kiss you." I got closer. She kissed me. We had sex. They usually just kind of randomly have started with hooking up, not being awkward about it, and then repeating the cycle until it's established. It just happens. One moment we're having a drink and a laugh, and the next she's sucking my D. I would say you become friends with benefits before you become friends. Tinder is a great place to start. We used to drive around and hotbox either her car or mine all the time on the weekends. We would drive far out in the middle of nowhere, back roads away from everyone and traffic. Sometimes we would stop the car for a bit to sit and smoke. I asked what we should do if a cop approached us, and she said, "Better brace yourself then. I'd rather get caught with a D in my mouth than a joint." We were never approached by an officer, but I did ask if I should call one, which led to 60 times that time and on occasions for a few years afterwards. She texted me asking if I wanted to duck her. Chad Thundercocks and Stacy's. Less I. Nice guys always finish last, or in a crusty sock in mom's basement while choking on dry tendies. Heard I got a divorce and told me the right guy is out there for you. I responded that the most I would ever want was a FWB. He asked how one applies for the benefits package. This led to a package discussion. Led to receipt of said package. Don't start with the friends. Start with the benefits. Simple math. She came up to me one night when we all were drinking and said, "Hey, we should have some sex sometime." So we did. Was great, but then things got all weird and now we're not friends anymore. Does it help you sleep at night to randomly toss meme insults around at people you don't know on the internet? Lol. I guess it was a gradual thing. We started as pretty decent acquaintances in high school and we became better friends after we graduated. She was pretty open about her sexuality and I felt comfortable enough to open up to her about mine. Now she had a boyfriend for quite a while and eventually they broke up. I guess after talking about sex a lot it was kind of easy to take it to the next level when no other commitments were in the way. It wasn't exactly a regular thing, but when it did happen it was pretty great. Despite that, we always remained just friends outside the bedroom, and I think it was better for both of us that way. We both ended up in our own relationships. But hey, if we're ever both single and in the same area again, I would be opposed to returning to the old habits. I don't usually respond, but I have amazing advice here. Go take some classes on massages. I'm a 300-pound dude. Not very attractive. Did not do well with girls as a teen. Learned to give amazing massages and can score left and right these days. I am bad at dating, so I strictly go for the friend zone, then break out of it. Make friends by being funny. Start doing it with a casual massage. It happened one night. Incredible sex. This was a long time ago for me, and gradually we stopped getting together for the benefits. It was pretty mutual on both sides, and we both knew that we couldn't return to being friends. No regrets, though. Be honest and upfront with your feelings and intentions. However, being true to yourself first. I've had friends with benefits where I explained that I've grown fond of them and care about them and our friendship. This is sincere, and while I was sexually attracted to them, I didn't see the relationship going long-term romantically. If they feel the same or accepted the feelings, sometimes they are interested in having some fun and exploring with someone they are comfortable with, even though it's not a committed and exclusive relationship. We were both staying at a friend's place, and she needed to change, but someone was in the bathroom, and she made some joke about, "I guess I'll just change here," so I said something like, "You don't have the balls." Bam. Suddenly very naked friend. She got pajamas on pretty quick after, but we were sharing a futon. And started kinda cuddling. Then stopped. Then basically both just kinda went for it. This was a while ago. We're back to just being friends now. She was my old roommate. She went shopping and said she bought new panties. I asked to see them, thinking she'd just show me. Nope. She came downstairs in them. Then talked about giving lap dances to some friends of hers the previous day. I joked and asked for me, honestly not expecting one. She agreed. I offered to put pants on. I don't wear pants at home cause why would I? I'm the man of the house. And she said no need. Goddamn she was fun. Happened other way around. We went from lovers to friends who have sex. Well, we dated for 2 months but never had sex during that time. Then we broke up but agreed to stay friends. Then I felt like losing my virginity and thought since we'd had some intimacy before, like making out, he'd be a